All right, guys, welcome back. I know it's been a long time, but I'm finally jumping back into things. So I hope you're all still here, and if you've been waiting patiently on me, I apologize. So we're gonna be doing something a little bit different, even though it seems like everything I do is a little different. Um, I'm gonna be doing a review of the PS5 version and the PS4 version of Resident Evil Village, and there's a lot of reasoning behind this, actually. So I do like to find kind of these classics, and it did come out a few years ago, as you can see from the copyrights on the screen. So I do like going back, kind of taking a second look at some of these incredible classics. I think it's one of the greatest games ever released. It's absolutely freaking fantastic. But I've got some secondary motives here, so I do want to preserve and kind of compare the PS5 and the PS4 versions. My other motivation here, actually, though, is I do want a benchmark to use when February rolls around and the Switch 2 version of Village comes out. I plan on it's going to be a horror marathon that weekend. I'm going to be getting the PS5 version of RE9. I'm going to get RE9 on the Switch, but I'm also going to be getting Village for the Switch. Or Switch 2, rather, excuse me. So I want to have this footage on hand, kind of a benchmark from both the PS5 and the PS4, so I can compare it to the Switch 2 version of Village, and also kind of compare it with Resident Evil 9 on all formats. And I want this footage available for me, but I also want it available for y'all as well. So when I review the Switch 2 and RE9, I'm going to have this video on hand to show you guys and see what we've got. And I especially want I do want to take a look at the PS4 version of Village as well, because kind of get into a little bit of insider information here, but I know, all respect to Dust Golem, he's mentioned several times that, PS4 version of RE9 is coming, and I'm sure that information was accurate probably when he heard it, but I have heard something very different. I've heard, yes, they are working on a PS4 version for RE9, but I have heard the exact opposite. I've heard they're having a hard time getting that thing running on the PS4, which to me sounds more logical. And I've also been told that's why there's been such a delay on pre-orders, that they're still trying to determine if they can get the thing running on a PS4 or not. Apparently it's been a tremendous challenge. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll happen, but I would say at this point, the fact that it hasn't been announced, and, they've kind of taken their time getting pre-orders up and running. I mean, that sounds kind of plausible that maybe they're having a hard time with the PS4 version and may can it completely. And I think I'd be a little bit surprised if RE9 came out on the PS4. I really have a hard time believing that a game of that caliber can get running on the PS4. So, and I'll show you the PS4 version of Village as to why I think that probably won't be happening. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit here too. So I'm going to be showing you just some various slices of the game, and like I said, recording it for review purposes, but also for some frame of reference when February rolls around. Because, one thing I've noticed too, when games come out, everybody's real quick to bash everything. That there's always these trolls that say, this is nowhere near as good as the PS5 version. Switch 2 sucks, or, PS4 version sucks, or whatever it is. And usually this video, something like this can pretty much disprove it. We have kind of very short memories as to how things look or how they really looked. So I do like preserving this kind of stuff to kind of put the proof in front of everybody's eyes, so we can compare stuff. But anyway, without further ado, I am going to go and get started. Now, to give you guys the technical readouts of what I'm doing, I'm at y'all's mercy a little bit today. I discovered that my capture card can record in 4K, but it can only record 30 frames per second, or I can do 1080p at 60. So, if y'all will forgive me, I decided that for what I'm trying to show you guys, I really felt like the 1080p did the job I needed. And I felt like 60 frames per second is the best justice I can do for this kind of game. So I am recording on a PS5 at 1080, 60 frames per second, and I'm running both versions of the game on the PS5. So when you see the PS4, understand that I'm running everything's at maximum. You know, the PS4 where you might normally get a frame drop here or explosion there, the PS5 obviously has no trouble running the PS4 engine at maximum. So bear in mind what you're seeing on the PS4 is actually your absolute best case scenario. It may not even play quite that well on an actual PS4. So now that I've got all those disclaimers out of the way, we're going to start off with the PS5 version, and let's get rocking and rolling. All right, gang, so here we are, back at probably the scariest castle I've ever been to, and we are running on the PS5 version. So real quick, I just want to kind of go around here. You'll see why I'm doing this later, kind of get you an idea of the textures and all the different environments, the lighting. I do want to kind of get a good look at all that, and you're going to see where all this comes into play here in a little bit. As you can see, the PS5 is pretty impressive with the way it runs everything. So something else too, and there's a reason I chose this particular file. For some reason I activated, I don't know how I did it, but on the PS5 and the PS4 I activated some crazy glitch where Lady D does not spawn. So I can literally just run around the castle to my heart's content, and I ain't got to worry about her, which is great for showcasing and doing what I'm doing here. I ain't got to worry about being interrupted by her. So let's go in here. Of course, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this is freaking incredible. I mean, Capcom just did a phenomenal. It just can't be overstated. What an amazing job they did with all this. Absolutely beautiful. And of course, the sound too. You know, it's just the audio in this game is absolutely freaking beautiful. Look at all the detailing here, the armor, lights. I mean, everything just looks absolutely freaking beautiful. Phenomenal. Go in here. A little creepy. So just look at the detail on the table. Okay, look at these two guys. Kind of scary looking, but there's actually other reasons. Remember these guys right here. Remember this detail right here. It will be important here in just a little bit. And back to the ballroom. Okay. Think you see a pretty good slice here. Just how the performance, all the graphical details, and what a phenomenal looking game this is. And by the way, just let me go and get this out of the way. So I give RE8 a 10 out of 10. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal, almost perfect game. I kind of wish, and I don't fault Capcom, I kind of wish they would have just used all the resources and put everything into the castle and House Benvenuto and just not even worried about the other two sections of the game. But hindsight's always 2020, so I don't fault them for that. But if I go back in time, I tell the developers, don't even worry about those two. Have the people that are working on that expand the castle. Expand House Benvenuto, like they did for the DLC. So, all right. So what we are going to do is jump over to the world's creepiest house. All right, and here we are. Like I said, back in the world's creepiest house. So, you look at the visuals here, even in 1080p, it's just absolutely stunning. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. Freaking phenomenal. You look at the detail and everything, the environments, the lighting, shadowing, everything could not be more perfect. Just really, really highly detailed, really phenomenal, very creepy environment, to say the least. Let's go ahead and look at a few of these details. Over here, some of the dolls. That's part of the creepiness too. You look at this clock. Now, again, this is a visual to pay attention to. We're going to revisit this clock here in the PS4 here in a little bit. So take a good look at this thing. And very, very settling, but somehow unsettling sound from that clock. If you just, almost like it's the calm before the storm. Like, what kind of creepy stuff awaits inside this house? That's what this whole room says. It's like something, this house basically says something is eventually going to go down, and it's going to be very creepy and very scary. And it was. Yeah, just everything in here, just the details, the floor, glass, just the door, the wear and tear and everything, lighting, everything could not be more perfect. Really, really good. And again, even in 1080. All right. I think everybody's gotten a pretty good feel for this, I believe. So, what I'm going to do, since we have our benchmark, I'm going to jump over to the PS4 version, and we're going to do a little bit deeper analysis. Alright guys, the first and most obvious thing you should have noticed here on the PS4 version, which we're now running, is I'm sure you caught the phenomenally long load times, which, expected. That's a given. That's the nature of the beast. I definitely don't expect this thing to put out the power of the PS5. But basically, we're going to retrace our steps a little bit. So here in the PS4, everything in this room looks pretty rock solid. Everything's pretty well detailed. Not on the full level of the PS5, but it's not too terribly far off. It looks pretty good. This small room really does an incredible job showcasing what Capcom can do and also showing what PS4 is capable of. And again, disclaimer, I am running this on the PS5, so you're getting your absolute best case scenario here. As a little disclaimer. So, what we're going to do now is, of course, this small room looks great. So let's see how things go with the rest of our journey. Okay. So we're going in a bigger environment, and immediately, shadowing and lighting takes a huge hit. Details in the statue are still pretty good. Again, not on par with the PS5, but it immediately has a much harder time running these larger environments. You can already tell the shadowing, lighting, everything else takes an immediate hit on the PS4, which again, okay, expected. All right. Now we're going to go into the main ballroom or living room, whatever Lady D calls it, main room of the castle. And here's why I think they're going to have such a hard time getting RE9 running on the PS4. So, show you one thing. Let's go back to the fireplace. So, first thing we want to check out. So, you look at here, burning fire, but look at the logs. Keep an eye on them. Boom. Okay, did you see that? If you didn't see it, go back a few seconds, but you'll notice obviously it had the textures loaded, but it had a lot of low res textures, and it took a minute to, pardon my facetiousness, took a minute to get them fired back up and fully display them. And they pop out very, very quickly. Just because when you get into a larger environment like this, and especially something with this insane amount of detail, the PS4 just can't handle all of it. It just can't. Look over here at the armor. You got a fair amount of detail, it's impressive, but boom, same kind of thing where the added detail just kind of popped in, and you just have that. You have a lot of pop in the environments because the PS4 just couldn't handle all this, and it's just got a much slower bandwidth exchange, which the Switch 2 does not have that problem. PS5 doesn't either, but there's a lot of bottlenecks on the PS4, so RE9 is going to be such a much higher caliber, much more demanding game. I just don't see how they're going to be able to get RE9 on there with all the bandwidth issues. Now let's look at another one. All right, same kind of thing. You look at the chandelier. Looks good. I mean, looks really, really detailed. Looks very phenomenal. But you can still tell that it's got, it's swinging a little bit, and it looks good, and there's all that detail in there, but you can tell the full assets took a minute to load in there, especially right around there. You can see it's still kind of struggling to display everything. So, not knocking the PS4, it's just a reality of what it is, even though this looks absolutely freaking incredible. And of course, the sound is just nowhere near the PS5. It's just not. And on that level, seeing not as much detail on the door. Lighting's still good. Definitely handles darkness a little bit better. Now, let's go over here. Alright. Remember all this? Remember those scary looking guys? Remember all that? See, it doesn't quite pop out in terms of detail. Not quite like it does on the PS5. I mean, again, still does a really, really good job rendering everything. It's just got so many bottlenecks. I really, really question what they're going to be able to do with RE9. Okay. Alright, so now what we're going to go and do, just for a little bit more comparison's sake, I am going to, like, see right here. Here's another example. There you go. See how it all had to pop in? And I'm still in the same room, just walking around. It's one single small room. It has a hard time handling all the assets in this room. And see, it's so resource strained. As soon as I walked away, it had to drop the assets and reload them when I'm staring at it. And it still doesn't look as good as the PS5. So just a lot of stuff happening here. And again, not a knock on the PS4, but this is just the nature of the beast. Anyway, so we're going to go back. We're going to make our journey to the scary house. Okay, now here I'm going to play things a little bit differently. So just for the sake of getting some more footage, a little bit more graphical shots, I am going to start a little bit further back as far as getting to House Benvenuto. So, and then I'll just see the load times too. Like, this is... Alright, so here we are back on the PS4 version. And I am going to be shooting a little bit more footage in comparison to what I've done previously with the PS5. Because I really want to get a little bit more footage for comparison's sake, because I think this is going to be a very important benchmark. Excuse me. Comparing it to the Switch 2 version when it launches in February. I think it's going to really encapsulate showing, how much improvements have been made and how good the Switch 2... I'm assuming Capcom's going to do a good job with the Switch 2 port of Village and RE7, and I'm sure RE9 has shown that it's looking pretty good on the Switch 2 as well. So I am going to shoot a little bit more footage for comparison's sake, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so you see this is kind of like PS4's big Achilles heel. Once you open up the environments a little bit, I mean, it still looks really, really good. Still looks phenomenal. But you can see the textures and everything, it really starts to fall. I don't want to say fall apart, because it still looks really damn good. But it does start taking a hit all over the place. Like right here. I mean, this... First glance, you look at it, it doesn't look as high quality as it should. It's just got a lot of low-res features. Just not as quite as crisp as the PS5. Alright, so now the high-res textures just popped in on this side. This side too. Okay, so you see it takes a minute for the good assets to load. So you can see the PS4 gets bottlenecked pretty much right from the get-go. And Capcom, of course, had to use all these little tricks to keep everything stable, keep everything looking good, which it does. It still overall looks very good. So let's see what we got here. So, like I said, I'm going to go through the forest area. And, let's see here. Again, really good, but the textures take a huge hit compared to the PS5. Still looks good. Lighting's not too terribly bad here. Nowhere near as good as the PS5, but just nothing's bad. Nothing about the PS4 version is horrible. I guess that's the best way to put it. It still looks and sounds great. It's just doesn't hold up well compared to the PS5, as it shouldn't. I'd actually be kind of disturbed if they looked the same. That probably wouldn't bode well. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys kind of take things in, and I'm going to shut up for a little bit and just let you guys examine everything, and I'll punch back in when I need to, or I'll start talking to you and get to the Benvenuto house. I can't think of anything important I need to say between now and then, so I'm going to shut up for a second.
Ethan.
What?
Ethan, come with me. There's something I have to tell you.
Mia? What's going on?
Rose feels different. Ethan, you have to fix her.
What the hell is this?
Everyone leaves me. Even Rose. I don't want to be alone.
This can't be real. Am I losing it? What's going on?
waiting for so long. I'd make a much better daughter than Rose. Please, won't you stay with me forever?
What? Wait, where's my gun?
All right, everybody, I'm back. And here we are kind of at our starting point, comparison point, in contrast to the PS5 version. So right away you can tell, again, everything looks good. It's just nowhere near as good as the PS5. Just you see immediately the lighting, shadowing, details still look good. It's just nowhere near as good as what's on the bigger console. every little thing in here takes a hit. I mean, it's a small room, so it doesn't take too terribly hard of a hit compared to some other places, but the PS4's limits really jump out at you for a game like this. You can just see with the dolls, like even the details and everything else, it's just nowhere near on par. And it looks like it's still, like, even staring at it, it still hasn't loaded some of the full textures. So you just see what a bottleneck it has as far as bandwidth goes. And for RE9, I just don't see it. You know, it's going to be even more of a bottleneck, and I don't see it being able to handle it. I just don't think it's possible. You know, all respect to Dusk Golem. What I've heard is they're having trouble getting the PS4 version working, and I think the evidence clearly shows that. And I actually will be very surprised if a PS4 version of RE9 comes out. Okay? All right. So again, we're going to look at our clock. This is a great comparison piece, especially if you go back and watch the portion where we did this on the PS5. Again, looks great, looks good, but you just see what an absolute hit it takes compared to the PS5. They really, really couldn't make it anywhere near as detailed. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna shut up here in a second and let you hear it, but even the sound of the clock just isn't as rich compared to the PS5. You know, put on some headphones if you need to, but you listen to the different portions in this video, it's different even sound-wise. It's just a much richer, much more vivid sound on the PS5. So I'm going to shut up and let you listen. Okay. You see? Okay, well, hopefully you picked up what I'm talking about. Obviously, everybody's got their own set of ears, but... And doing another little tour and see even the colors. Everything's just nowhere near as vibrant. And again, I feel like I'm turning this into a PS4 bashing experience, and it's not. It's still a very well built system, but it's just got 2013 technology attached to it, and we're obviously fairly well removed from that point in history. So newer, more capable hardware has come out, and I still consider it hats off to Sony and Capcom. The fact this thing runs as well as it does on the PS4 is still very impressive. But I do not see RE9 coming out on this thing. Maybe they'll surprise me. I don't think so. Unless sections of the game are cut out. And I don't think Capcom's going to do that. So, okay, guys. Well, that pretty much concludes it. And like I said, you'll be seeing this video again in February. I'll be attaching it to my Switch 2 reviews for Village 7, RE9. Of course, I'll have the PS5 version of RE9. Hey, if a miracle happens, if there's a PS4 version of RE9, I'll be reviewing that too. I'll be posting all of it. But for now, this gives you a good benchmark. And I think I've kind of made my case for why I don't see RE9 coming out on PS4. But again, I could be wrong. Anyway, guys, always sound off in the comments. Any questions, sound off. I'll try to answer them as best I can. But again, Village is a fantastic game. I know it's kind of more hitting on the graphical comparison. But I give both versions 10 out of 10. It's a fun game, phenomenal game, the best survival horror you're going to get anywhere. It's just absolutely freaking fantastic. Either game, you're going to get a positive experience. If all you got is PS4, don't let my review scare you. As you can see, it still looks good on the PS4. It just nowhere near as good as its older brother. So that pretty much concludes everything today, guys. So hopefully I'll have some more videos up soon. Otherwise, we'll check in this particular game in February, see how things are looking with the PS5 and the Switch 2. Appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see y'all next time.